Hello, winners, and welcome to Two for the Win with your hosts, Nick and Will, where we share international insights and levity on things such as leadership and mindset on Monday Mindset, travel and the travel business on Wanderlust Wednesday, and on Fridays like today, Fanatic Friday, where we talk about sports. Woo-hoo. There we go. Happy Friday, Nick.
Happy Friday, Will. Happy Friday, winners.
Hey, so please remember to subscribe, share, and follow so that you can spread the word about Two for the Win, especially if you're getting things out of it. And also, please continue to send your feedback. Love hearing from our winners, and we've got some great tips already that we've incorporated. Keep them coming, and really looking forward to that. And again, today's episode is sponsored by Nick Menard and Associates with Dream Vacations. Make your dream vacation a reality. Give Nick Menard and Associates at Dream Vacations a call and start celebrating your relaxation and enjoyment and having a dream vacation. So we have a lot to talk about with the NFL, but first let's get to college football. Big game last week was Ohio State-Penn State. I went with Ohio State, even though my heart was saying Penn State. You said Penn State doesn't win this. You're never picking them in a big game again. Quick thoughts on what happened in that game.
You're right. I was wrong. I will never pick them again. They had a good start, 10-0, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's looking good. And then, of course, things change. That's sport. But again, what I don't like is the post-press conference of Penn State's coach.
Oh, Franklin? Yeah.
Franklin.
Yeah.
Like, he literally didn't say much, but insinuate that he has a lot to share internally, that he's extremely upset, and he will not share anything right now because he needs to talk internally first. Like, this is on you, dude. Mm-hmm. This is on you. You are failing this university for like 7-8 years. I don't know how long he's there, but he's failing it over and over again. He wins games that he should be winning, which is kudos to him. I mean, give him a pat in the back. But every time that he has a game that he's underdog, he's losing it. Yeah. Every time. And this year, there is no reason why this is happening. And I would be Penn State's fan. I would want him gone because it's year over year, always the same story, and he never take any responsibility, always blaming someone, somewhere. We don't know who, because he always do that behind closed door, which mostly is better. But no, it's over again. I mean, I'm done with them. But kudos for Ohio State. They had an amazing game. They had a good game plan. They stayed poised. In beginning of the game when they went down 10-0. You could see that the team were level-headed, and they just went little by little, executing very well. So kudos to Coach Day for the win.
Yeah, there's people in life that are great at getting things started or rebuilding, but they're not great at putting the finishing touches. So you think about like startups. Some people are great at founding the company, but they're not great at scaling it. Mm-hmm. So they bring in a CEO or somebody who has experience doing that, and it takes to the next level. I think going back in the day with D. Wade and Shaq, when they had Stan Van Gundy, and it just got to the point where he wasn't going to take them to the next level. So Pat Riley came in, and they won their first championship doing that. And I think that's the case with Franklin. Like, I will always have a level of respect for him for rebuilding that program after what happened with Sandusky and the way Penn Turtle ended, and it went into the dark ages. And he got them back to relevancy, but I don't see him taking them to the next level. And it's, I mean, there's enough of a kind of documented history, so to speak, to say it's fair to have doubts if you can take them to the next level and break through. So I think you may be right, and they may be time for a change, and it's not to diminish anything he did in rebuilding that program, but if they're going to take it to the next level, I don't think he's the guy that's going to do it. They keep losing every big game.
I agree.
'Tis what it tis. So looking ahead, we have two pretty big games, I would think.
Tomorrow,
with the college football. So the first one that stands out to me that I'd love to get your take is Georgia Ole Miss.
Yeah, so we have Ole Miss, it's all offense, scoring more points. In Georgia, normally our all defense, but this year, that's not really the case. I think it's very easy the team who lose should not be in the 12-team playoffs. I think they are both,
Even if Georgia lost,
it's 6-2, no? What?
they're 7-1 now.
7-1. So if they lose, they will need to win it all and win this SEC, which I don't see it happening, to be honest. And Ole Miss as well. So the game is in Ole Miss.
It is.
I will go for Ole Miss winning this game.
Really?
I think offense dynamic will win this game.
You talk about the irresistible force against the immovable object. Ole Miss could drop a ton of points, but then you got Georgia's defense, which is stout.
Yeah,
generally.
not this year.
Yeah, they've been inconsistent. The over/under is 54.5. It seems like that's a teaser. Like you should be able to go over on that with those two. Over. But Georgia's favored by 2.5 in Ole Miss. You're picking Ole Miss.
I'll pick Ole Miss.
All right. You heard it here first, folks. Ole Miss over Georgia, according to Nick Menard.
What about you, Will?
Georgia.
Bulldogs.
Well, here's the thing with Ole Miss. And they have a history, too. We're talking about Penn State. Ole Miss, like there's been stretches where they've been not a good team. But the stretches where they've had good teams, again, they lose the big game. This is a game that they could win. I see them losing. They're the Penn State of the SEC.
You go by what should be happening based on.
But don't get me wrong. I like Lane Kiffin and his smack talk. I like their uniforms with their little powder blue and the gray and the red. But I think Georgia, that quarterback's not going to throw 3 picks like they did last week.
Beck?
Yeah. But anyway, we'll see. The other biggie, and this one I do agree with you, whoever loses is probably on the outside of the top 12 for the playoff. Alabama, LSU in the Bayou.
Yeah, that's going to be... I'm wondering, is it 7:30? So it's a night game in Baton Rouge. So...
Brian Kelly.
I want LSU to win that game, but I do believe that Alabama will rise and win that game.
My head is with you. My heart, even though I don't really care for Brian Kelly too much, but there's something about LSU under the lights at night.
Oh, I like them. I want them to win, but I don't think they will.
Yeah, Alabama's favored. Actually has a higher over-under at 58.5 versus Georgia and Ole Miss, which I find interesting. I am also going to go with Alabama. I think they pull it off, but I will say if they lose this, that coach, as crazy as it is, he's going to be feeling the heat. So they better win for his sake because those other SEC schools were just waiting for a little chink in the armor of Alabama. So when they're going in for these prospects and recruiting and stuff, they're not the same without Saban. It's not the Alabama of old. So he had better win this because if not, I think it makes it harder for them in the future on the recruiting. But 2 big games. We'll see how it goes and take it from there. Now let's pivot to both of our favorite sport, the National Football League. Lots of stuff to talk about. Here we are at the midseason. We will get to your kudos in a little later on in the segment, and well-deserved. But for now, as you reflect on maybe real quick from last week's games, anything that still kind of stands out several days later that you wanted to touch on quick?
Well, Carolina who beat New Orleans, and New Orleans
fired their
change the coach.
Yeah,
so
it was a bad loss, such a bad loss.
It's like if you lose against Carolina, you're out.
Yeah.
So that was definitely that was really interesting. I think Washington, they're legit.
Yeah.
they're really, really legit. And then, of course, we need to talk about the game of the weekend, who was on paper the Detroit Lions at your cheesy head.
Yeah.
So
my son's friend is one of these Lions fans who knows nothing about football, but now that the Lions are good, he tries to talk about. He sent my son a picture of a Lions fan who had the cheese shredder all silver.
I saw it on TikTok. Yeah, no, that's cool. Well, if your backup quarterback was playing, I think you win that game.
I agree with you, and here's why. That field was sloppy.
Mm-hmm.
They needed to run the ball. Why not put Willis in there who can run and do all that instead of keep trying to throw? How many times? All right, I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here because this just really ticked me off. They're snapping the ball in a torrential downpour out of shotgun, and they flubbed how many snaps? Like 3. Like either put his butt underneath center and forget the shotgun, or put Willis in and just run an option offense because they were running the ball. Oh gosh! So Jacobs had over 90 yards rushing by the midpoint of the second quarter. And they went away from him because Love threw a bonehead pick 6, and then they got away from the running game. Your voice was going through my head about Love and putting in Willis in that game because that was a perfect game for Willis. Mm-hmm. He could have won in there.
I was smiling here, and I'm like, oh. So I was mad at that game. I had a bet on with... I just need that one. I had a parlay. The only one who was missing is the Packers against the Lions being over 47 points. And that was probably the one bet of my parlay that I was the most confident about before.
Yeah.
And of course, that's the one who failed me. So I was like, damn it, just on time. Of course, I didn't know it was going to rain when I placed the bet, but it is what it is. But yeah, I was literally thinking the same thing. I was like, if Willis is playing this game, that's the perfect game for him because I have very little trust in Love. And yeah, unfortunately for you, it happened. Even though I do believe that Detroit Lions is the best team in the NFL the first half of the year. We're going to talk more about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely Detroit are very solid, even without their best defensive player at Kitson.
Yeah, they're very good. But Green Bay's defense, if you take away that pick 6, held them to 17 points.
True.
Held them to under 300 yards of total offense. So Green Bay, again, just like against Minnesota in that first half, they beat themselves. Dumb penalties, stupid turnovers, missed field goal. Their new kicker missed their first field goal. Granted, it was 45 yards on a monsoon, but he missed it. And yet, as poorly as they played, they racked up over 400 yards of offense. Their defense is legit.
I agree.
So, at some point, I got to keep saying, hey, they'll clean it up because you are what you are. And if you keep playing sloppy football and you keep making bad decisions, you will lose against good teams. And Green Bay lost against a good team because the good team played better football.
Yeah, I think we agree on this.
All right. Thank you for letting me vent. All right. Anyway, so we got the midpoint. Been a heck of a season so far.
Oh, yeah.
Let's start with who are your positive surprise teams who have been better than what you expected before the season started.
When it comes to records, I think for me, Washington, it's clearly the team I was not expecting. I had high hope on Daniels. I thought he was going to be better than Williams. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know it was going to be that good. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know, it's a brand new quarterback, brand new coaching staff. I mean, literally, new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new quarterback, young. I mean, who could expect that kind of productivity in the first half of the NFL season?
Yeah.
I didn't. I literally didn't. So for me, this is the team. Another one that I was thinking about, it's Pittsburgh Steelers. I was not expecting Steelers to be 6-2. I mean, everybody were talking about they will finally finish last of their division before the season starts.
Yep.
And they are again first. I mean, we need to give kudos to coach. Oh my God.
For the Steelers, Tomlin?
Yeah, Tomlin. Yeah. We have to give kudos to Tomlin. He never coached a team under 500. And a lot of times, beginning of the season, we said, there's no way. This year is the year. And again, this year, I thought this is the year that they're going to be completely down. Tomlin moves on to Vegas or something. I was really thinking that his last season as a coach and he will go somewhere else. and he does it again.
know.
So that's kudos to them. But Washington is my pick.
Yeah, I would go with both for sure. And the Steelers have done it with different starting quarterbacks. So that's not easy to do either.
True, but experienced one compared to Washington.
But they were both new to the team.
Absolutely.
With a new OC. So yeah, definitely hats off the Steelers. There's nothing sexy about the Steelers, but they just are fundamentally sound. It just goes to show. Yeah, you get the right fundamentals, everything else flows from there.
And defense.
I will go with, I'm not going to say the Dolphins because I think when Tua got hurt, that would be unfair. But obviously their record is way worse than what I thought it would be. I'm going to say the Jets because I actually, before the season started, I think their over-under on season wins was 8.5 or 9.
You wanted to pick up
and
above.
I took over.
Yeah, above.
Well, I did. And then there's no way that's going to happen unless they go on some crazy tear. Their schedule is soft coming up. But I really did not expect them to be 3-6, and now they got Devontae, and they're 1-1 with them. Disappointed in the Jets.
If I can add something just for the winners, because they may not know Will very much at this point, they may know you a little bit, but don't feel bad about his bet. He probably put a $15 bet for the year for the Jets being over 8.5. So he's going to be able to keep eating lunchtime and dinner. So don't feel too bad about his pick.
Yeah, I won't be eating Spam and Chef Boyardee, but it's more about the principle, about being right. Yeah, right. It's not about the money. It's about the principle. But the Jets, Dolphins, obviously, but that, I think, with the injury. The other one, and I don't mean to put a thumb in the wound, I really didn't think Dallas would be 3-5. I didn't expect them to be 12-5, but I did not. And there was a couple of losses at home. We already have a couple of coaches fired. I think it's fair to say McCarthy's gone with Dallas. We were talking about this the other day.
Oh no!
There's going to be a lot of coaching changes, and I think Dallas is another one that's going to have a whole new. It's going to be an interesting offseason for Big D because they're going to have a new coach.
Yeah, so I'm a big Cowboys fan, and before the season started, I said they're not gonna make the playoffs, and so I'm not that surprised. I was not expecting too much from them at all this season. So yeah, but my big, I have a lot of teams actually that I think underwhelming.
Yeah.
A team that I definitely thought was gonna be way better this year is Cleveland. Reason being, the Browns, last year, they had an amazing second part of the season with their backup quarterback.
Flacco came in.
And I thought, okay, they made the playoff. They lost, of course, against Houston, I believe, in divisional rounds. But they were there until the end. Mm-hmm. And I think they won 5 of the last 6 games last year and played very good football, good, amazing defense, of course. But they were clicking.
Yeah.
Then the only question mark was, is Watson going to finally make the leap back to where he was? Well, it didn't happen, of course. Mm-hmm. Even before his injury, he was nowhere to be found. But to be 2 and they are 2-7, 2-6, 2-7. To be 2-7, I think that it's that's extremely underwhelming. And we know a lot of Browns fan. That's not a good time to be a Browns fan. That's for sure.
No, dark ages again.
Yeah, no. That's really the number one team who I would think of being a big failure. Jacksonville, I was thinking more about them as well, but they are in the bottom.
Yeah, they're 2-7 as well.
Yeah, I think that,
and they have a quarterback.
Yeah, I think
Cleveland
Peterson is the next coach to be gone. I think it's gonna be the next one. The Cowboys, they should, but they will not. Knowing Jerry Jones is not someone who fire people in the middle of season.
Yeah, let's go through this real quick, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Jets have a new coach, so that's one. I think Cleveland may. It depends.
No, I don't think so.
They could, if they just want to hit a full reset. I think Jacksonville, so there's 3. I think Raiders.
The Raiders.
That's 4. I think Cowboys is 5. Giants is 6.
Philadelphia Eagles.
Philadelphia is 7.
If they
falter, 7. I think the NFC North, all fine. Those coaches all stay. The South, I think Carolina,
Carolina they don't have a team. They don't have players.
New Orleans already is 9, so that's 9. And then I think, so that's 9. We could have 9 new head coaches next year. And there's always a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go full circle. So we started off with who you think did better than expected. Then we spent a lot of time on the underperformers. I will close it out with who I think is better than expected. I will actually say the Buffalo Bills are better than expected. I thought with their wide receivers, I didn't expect, Josh Allen is great. But they lost some of their defenders for a little bit for injury or suspension. I thought the Bills would be sitting at like 5-4, 4-5. They're 7-2. So hats off to them being better than expected. And I will say the other team, because I don't want to repeat the ones that you picked, even though I totally agree with the ones that you picked. I hate to say it. In fact, I'm already feeling like chest pain thinking about saying it.
Chicago?
No,
Detroit.
that's Vikings.
Vikings.
I did not think the Vikings would be 6-2. Like, especially because they had a rookie quarterback. I know you were high on Darnold, but I thought, okay, they're going to start J.J. McCarthy, rookie quarterback Blues. They'll be whatever, 7-10. Something like that. 6-2, half game ahead of the Packers. Kills me, but they're better than expected for me.
Yeah, I really like I like the Vikings this year. I don't know. They click on every cylinder offensively. No, they have their tight end back, Maneva Hutchinson.
Yeah.
So he's back. I think it's a phenomenal piece for this team because they have like 2 wide out who can run like cheetah on the side, like between Jefferson and Addison. Then now you have the perfect tight end in the middle who can cut road cutter. Even though Jefferson, that's what he does. He just start one side and he cut in the middle, and then Darnold just throw in the middle. They have a solid offensive line right now, and then defensively they hold the board. Yesterday they were at 0 at half. I never would have thought that. It was 7-0 at the half.
Right.
I was thinking that second half they will wrap up point, and I needed it. But it happened. So that was good, and I really like the coach.
Yeah.
I really like O'Donnell. I think he's a player's coach.
Yeah.
You can see that he really cares for his player. You see that he's like in the trenches with them, and that's the kind of coach, the same as the coach Detroit. Same style. I mean, not same style, but both are very players coach, very different way.
Yeah.
But I like them both a lot. So, yeah.
Yeah. And it pains me to say it, but you hear things like about their owner, Ziggy Wolf, how he creates a culture of winning. And I was going to do this. I might do it next week. I felt I'm going to think it through. But we talked about Washington, and now they have new ownership. Dan Snyder's gone, and it seemed to lift the black cloud, and now they're doing well. I hate to say this, buddy, but I'm starting to wonder, like Jerry Jones. What I was going to do is a comparison of Jerry Jones and Daniel Snyder, like certain things that have happened similarly, like the claims about sexual misconduct.
Oh no,
and all this other stuff. Jerry Jones. You remember, you're a Yankees fan, so you probably know this. The Red Sox, for the longest time, had the curse of the Bambino, right? Because they got rid of Babe Ruth. I think Jerry Jones caused the curse of getting rid of Jimmy Johnson. Like, they won the 2 years later because that team was just stacked with Barry Switzer. They haven't won anything since.
Oh, I agree.
I mean, he makes money. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
They're the number one
valued
franchise in American sports, but when it comes to winning, I'm starting to have massive doubts about Mr. Jones.
You're starting after 28 years?
Well, I always thought that there was just things in the crosshairs that, like Tony Romo fumbling that field goal snap against Seattle, and they could have won. The Des Bryant no catch. When they were then the Dak Prescott first year and Rodgers hits that ridiculous throw and they kick the field goal. Like, so they were snake bitten, with some of that, but they had good teams. But you just have to wonder, going back to, like, we're talking about Franklin and Penn State, can he get them over the top in his decision making? I don't know.
You cannot be a GM, owner, and president.
Yeah, it's too much.
I mean, it's impossible.
Too much.
But hey, it's never going to change until the man, I don't wish that to happen. Until the man is gone, it's never going to be changing.
Yeah, I agree.
And he will not be gone until he's gone.
And
so
they have some massive questions to address this offseason if the season continues this way. So anyway, let's run to our upset pick. So first, congratulations to my co-host Nick Menard. Won his first week. As soon as we had all this kudos about me being 7 of 8, I knew it would drop. I lost the Packers, which I only picked the Packers because you picked the Panthers, and that was failure on my part. And then Seattle has to go bananas in overtime and let the Rams beat them in overtime when they had that game. But you called the Carolina one, and it caused New Orleans to fire their coach. And you were close on the Pats.
Oh, the Pats lost in overtime.
Patriots,
By the way, let's say a word about May. My goodness.
That play was crazy.
The Patriots are back in the mix with a quarterback. Now they need to build around him.
Yeah, they need skill
have
players.
their quarterback.
Yeah.
This kid is he's all heart. He's whole heart. You can see that the team is all around him.
Yep.
They have their quarterback. They just need to make sure to protect him and then give him tools because their defense is not as bad as we thought it would be.
No, their defense is strong.
Yeah,
they're not giving up many points.
I think a better offensive line, better tackles, and then a couple of piece wide receiver. They have Stevenson, who is doing his job, but they can get better at.
Yeah.
But I think that was very close, and I really like May.
How about this rookie quarterback class? We don't know about J.J. McCarthy because he got hurt. Nix is good. May is good. Daniels is unbelievable, and Williams is doing good for the Bears. Yeah, he's not playing like a number 1 pick maybe, but he's playing like he belongs as a starter.
And look, next year it's coming. You have like Sanders, and you have the U Wards.
Yeah.
So those two are also very high on a lot of lists.
Yeah.
It used to never happen. Now we have a few years back to back, like CJ Strauss last year. So we have like players coming in and having an immediate impact with their team, which was never heard before or very rarely. So it's shifting a little bit, the style, which is fun, new blood.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, upset pick. So Nick, for the first time, gets the honors. You get your first pick to see who you would like as your upset pick special. Again, for upset picks, these are money line. We go off the Vegas money line, and we're picking the team to win, not to cover, but to flat out win. So we have some, I don't know, there's some big spreads on these games, but who do you want to go with first? You have the honors.
All right, so can you go down?
Sure.
Yeah. So Okay, I will start with. I'm not feeling strongly about it, but I'm gonna still do it. I will go with the Jets going to win at Arizona Cardinals.
Yep.
I hope
Arizona's
I'm wrong.
favored by 1 point, so that's basically a pick 'em.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong because I really prefer Cardinals to the Jets, but I think the Jets situation, it's every week now. It has to be a win, and this is probably the most difficult of the next 4 games for them. If they can win that game, I think they win the next 3 as well. So I will pick them as my first pick.
Got it. All right, I will pick the Texans at home against the Lions. I think
that was my second one.
Detroit's favored by 3. Listen, Detroit is a strong team, no doubt about it. But they're playing on the road, and the Texans have something to prove. And the Sunday night games sometimes go wonky. So I will take the Texans over the Lions. And then I will also, I'm really torn. There's 2 games I'm trying to pick. And do I go for the massive upset or not? As much as this pains me, I am going to take the Steelers over the Commanders because I think the Steelers defense will give some complex looks and be able to contain Daniels a little bit. And, let's face it, Commanders are 7-2. I obviously have Daniels on my fantasy team. I love him. They didn't blow the gates off the Giants. And so I think the Steelers can come in there in a tight game, squeak one out with like a late figgy. So I'm going Steelers over Commanders.
Good pick. Now we are on time almost, so I will rush. But I would like to take, and I hope I'm wrong again, but I will go with the Saints beating the Falcons next week. Why? It's a division game, so it's always up in the air, and they have a brand new coach. So, that player with a new coach mid-season, they want to showcase what their value are because the trading deadline is near. Mm-hmm. They want to showcase what they're capable to get some trading aspect. So I will go with this one.
Yeah, makes sense. The other one I was thinking of picking was the Panthers beating the Giants. I think Daniel Jones has just fallen off a cliff, and they're playing in Germany.
He was never on a cliff.
Well, he had that one good year, but I mean, the Giants are underwhelming. And the Panthers are starting to show a little life. I mean, they won last week, and a division game, never easy. And I don't know. We'll see. With Bryce Young, can he start continuing to put it together? If not, you put in the Red Raider, Andy Dalton, and they score that way. But I'm not. That's not my pick. But if anyone wants a bonus, consider the Panthers. Giants are favored by 5. Even if you think the Giants win, I think the Panthers cover.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Anyway, winners, hope you enjoyed this chat as much as we enjoyed having it. And remember to subscribe, follow, and share Two for the Win with your hosts, Nick and Will. Looking forward to another great weekend of sports, and we will see you on Monday for our Monday Mindset episode. Be well, winners.